In the frozen mountains of the Ural region, a group of hikers began a journey that would end in one of history's most mysterious tragedies. In January 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out into the remote mountains, carrying everything they needed to survive the brutal winter. They eventually reached a remote mountain slope and began setting up their tent, preparing to spend another night in the freezing wilderness. Inside the tent, everything seemed normal. Their equipment was there, their belongings were still inside, and there was no obvious sign that anything was wrong. But during the night, something happened. A powerful snowstorm swept across the mountain, turning the darkness into a freezing wall of snow and wind. Then, for reasons no one knows for certain, the hikers suddenly left the tent. They went into the freezing night without properly preparing for the cold. When rescuers finally discovered the tent, it had been cut open from the inside. Their belongings were still there, but the hikers were gone. What happened next would turn this expedition into one of the most famous mysteries in history. Search teams began looking for the missing hikers across the frozen mountains. The conditions were brutal, and every step through the deep snow was a struggle. Eventually, investigators followed a trail of footprints leading away from the tent. The footprints suggested that the hikers had moved toward the forest below the mountain. Near a large cedar tree, investigators found signs that the hikers had tried to survive in the freezing conditions. But the mystery only became deeper. Why had they left their tent in the middle of the night? Why were some of them wearing very little clothing? And what could have frightened them enough to leave behind their equipment and protection from the cold? As the search continued, more clues were discovered. The investigators carefully examined the tent, the surrounding snow, and everything the hikers had left behind. There was no simple answer. The mountain had become a crime scene without a clear crime. The location itself made the investigation even more difficult. The Dyatlov Pass area was remote, extremely cold, and surrounded by dangerous mountains and deep snow. For decades, people came up with different explanations for what happened that night. Some believed the hikers were attacked. Others suggested something strange had happened on the mountain. But one explanation eventually gained serious attention: a small slab avalanche. Scientists suggested that a layer of compact snow could have shifted above the tent, creating pressure and making the hikers believe they were in immediate danger. If that happened, the hikers may have cut their way out of the tent and moved away from the slope to reach a safer location. But even this explanation does not answer every question surrounding the case. Why did the hikers separate? Why were some found far from the tent? And why did the events unfold so quickly? Modern researchers have studied the terrain, the snow, and the weather conditions in an attempt to understand what really happened. A small avalanche is now considered a plausible explanation by many researchers, especially because of the steep terrain and the way snow can behave under certain conditions. But the Dyatlov Pass incident remains famous because so many details have been debated for decades. 9 hikers entered the mountains expecting an ordinary expedition. Instead, something went terribly wrong during one freezing night. Their tent was left behind. Their belongings remained inside. And the mountains kept the rest of the story hidden for decades. Maybe the answer was buried beneath the snow. Maybe it was a chain of unfortunate decisions made in a moment of panic. Or perhaps there are still details about that night that we simply don't understand. What we do know is this: the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most haunting mysteries of modern history. And after more than half a century, one question still remains: what really happened that night?